Hello, y'all, and welcome to CRE with CBC Worldwide Podcast. My name is Ashley Wilson, and I'm the National Senior Manager of Growth and Culture for Coldwell Banker Commercial. You are listening to MarketTales, our series where commercial professionals share their insights, their expertise, and their stories from the front lines of their market. Together, we're going to delve into the dynamic world of commercial real estate, where every deal tells a tale and every market has a unique rhythm. On today's episode, I am excited to chat with Brandon Sudweeks, the president of Coldwell Banker Commercial SC in Temecula, California. How you doing today, Brandon?
Wonderful, Ashley. How are you?
Good. So we were chatting actually before we started recording about all your different hobbies and stuff that we're going to get to later in the episode. But first, I don't know how you got into commercial real estate. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey?
Sure. Yeah, started when I was 20. I was a junior in college, and my dad called me up and said, "College is for losers. Come to California, and I'll teach you everything I know about real estate development, and we'll make millions of dollars." So I dropped out of school, and I cruised down to California, and I worked with him for 4 years, and learned a lot about land and land development, and then started my own firm in 2007, which is really when the market was falling off a cliff. So then, when you start in 2007, 2008, you really learn how to scrape by and win business, and ended up buying the Coldwell Banker Commercial franchise in 2011. And at the time, I was the youngest franchise owner on record, 29 years old, and I've been a franchise owner ever since.
Wow. So I'm kind of curious. When you were in college, what were you going to school for?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Communications, broadcasting. I really, I didn't know. I did know that I was a great salesperson, though, because I was selling high-end electronics and doing really well as a 18, 19, and 20-year-old and a part-time job making full-time wages in Utah. So I knew I was
Wow.
good at sales, and I knew getting into real estate was going to be a passion because I wanted to get to the highest level of sales.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you grew up around it. Your dad was in commercial real estate, right? So did he had ever at one point before calling you up and telling you that school's for losers, tell you not to go into real estate, like in those stressful moments in the turn of the market?
No, I did see his, ups and downs and ebbs and flows in real estate. My dad, pretty impressively, basically bankrolled our entire, his entire life savings, and bought a property for $100,000 and subdivided it into 4 lots and made $150,000, and then subdivided that and, made a couple $100,000, and then just kept kind of rolling with it. And I watched him basically risk everything for years to make a name for himself in real estate. So I definitely saw the risk and the reward that comes from it, and that's an exciting part of the business.
Right. Yeah. And especially like you said, starting in 2007, you can only go up from there at that point, right? So,
It was rough. There was one point I think I worked like 4 months straight, Monday through Sunday.
ooh, but sometimes it takes putting in the time, especially when you're in sales.
Exactly.
So we know that you're in Temecula, California. So for those who don't know where that is located, can you give us a little information on your market?
Yeah, we're pretty much in between Los Angeles and San Diego. Temecula is known as the wine country of Southern California. And our market, when I first moved out there, was a couple 100,000 people in pretty much the West Riverside County area. It's now multi-millions of people that are out in the market. We're also several pockets of our markets I would consider being, home builder capital of the world. We have an intense amount of new homes being built out in our market. Pretty much every home builder you can imagine is here, and that's really what's spurring the market. On top of that, we're also in the Inland Empire, the largest industrial market in the entire world. So we have, a huge home builder boom and a huge industrial boom that's happened over the last 20 years.
Wow. Um, and how about the wine country piece? How does that impact your market as well?
It's where a lot of the rich people live. Yeah, doesn't really too much else. I mean, there's pretty prohibited in the wine country area from what you can build, and so yeah, you've got some wineries, and it brings in a lot of tourism, but it's not a big part of what you know my particular expertise is. Although we have sold some very large wineries and wine country land, but it's not anything that's a driving force like the home builder market or the industrial market.
Okay. Uh, and you've had several great deals. We were talking earlier about some things that you already closed this far this year, and you're um, a a frequent top two elite goer, right? We were just together in Salt Lake City last month, beginning of last month. So share with us things that you do in your business that you think have led to the success of being a commercial real estate.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I have been the sixth highest producer the last 3 years to 666.
Nice.
Hopefully, that's not a sign of anything else, but yeah, I've done well. Mostly what I focus on is land, and a lot of my transactions take many, many years to come together. It's why it's hard for new people to get into the business because the land transactions can sometimes take several months to several years. One of the closings we've had this year is a property that I've literally worked on for the last 15 years and in and out of escrow, probably a half dozen times, and countless hours that I put into it. Lobbying the city and trying to get zone changes and different things. And after all that time, we just continually saw the deal fall back out of escrow and not close and not make a dime. So, when it finally closes and there's a big commission, everybody's like, "Wow, that's great, congratulations!" And I'm like, "Man, I'm making like a buck 95 an hour on this one."
Yeah, over the last 15 years.
Exactly, but fortunately, on some of these now we're selling 2 and 3 times over again, because land transactions a lot of times will trade hands multiple times before they're developed, and then you build those long-term relationships with people that, continually look at you as the market expert, and, that kinda leads to the next part of your question, which, I think there's 3 big things that have been important to my success, and I think are really important for anybody that's tuning in to really focus on. And number one is be an expert. We have a lot of generalists, and that's fine. And in a lot of smaller markets, being a generalist is being the expert. But find out what your niche is and what makes you an expert. And in my market, that's being a land broker, and I'm arguably, sell more land than anybody in West Riverside County and Southern California as a whole. Secondly, find out how you can bring value to your clients. We spend a lot of time figuring out how we're going to bring value to the clients, and one of the things that we do is we put together a whole market report. And we send out this market report costs me over $20,000 a year. It's probably about 40 pages, and it includes a lot of things in here, um, like all of our featured listings on certain pages. So we'll give an overview on the industrial market, and then we'll talk some more specifically about some of the industrial listings we have in the market. We send out um, thousands of those to pretty much every vacant landowner in our market. It is extremely expensive. It's a huge investment, But what it does is it shows our expertise. It brings value to our clients. And third is it differentiates ourselves from the competition. And from this report, we have gotten probably 50 plus listings in the last couple years. A lot of people see these reports and they give us a call and you retain our services to help them sell their properties. Also, we are known as experts in our markets with the home builders, with the industrial developers, with the residential developers, with the retail developers. We're known as the experts in our markets. So it really achieves all three aspects of what I think is really important to be successful in commercial real estate.
Uh, and that marketing piece that you were the research report that you were holding up, is that a collaborative effort between your just knowledge of your area and then you lean on some research platforms to pull in that as well?
Yeah, so we do an insane amount of research to come up with this report. First of all, we've had to track and continuously track every single vacant landowner of consequence in West Riverside County, which is thousands and thousands of people. And that's constantly changing. So we use a few different platforms to do that. Land Vision is a big one. Different title search websites is another one. And we have interns that work through a lot of that, as well as a couple of my other team members, Michael Pizzagalli and Eric Washley. So it's a collaborative team effort. And then we have interns that also, are gathering a lot of that data. So that's the first part of it. And then secondly, yeah, it's specific information about all aspects of land, from residential land, industrial land, and commercial land. And from that perspective, we're providing sales comparable or comps of each asset type and different developments that have come to fruition over the course of that term.
Nice. Now, because of that piece that you sent out, do you have like a story about a specific listing that you might have gotten because of it? Or any listing for that matter, something that you might have done differently in your office, of how you got the business?
I will tell you, we've gotten an insane amount of listings. To narrow it down to just one probably wouldn't do it justice. I will tell you that when you find your niche and you're an expert, what I've been shocked by more than anything is the lack of competition.
Mm.
There's a lot of listings that we've gotten that they not they've not had anybody else send them a marketing piece, and they're getting this report from us, and a lot of times it's not the first one we send out, it's the third, it's the fourth, it's the fifth one that we've sent out because we're repetitive, and we've gotten a lot of different listings that we've picked up, and people need to sell instantly. And so despite what I said earlier about how long land transactions take, where, we picked up a listing from sending out this mailer and, 3 weeks later, we're closing a deal, to some of the largest land transactions in our market that we've picked up because of this. And I will say another thing that was really gratifying is some of the clients that I've really wanted to impress and be in front of, but always was a little intimidated because there's some of they're the gorillas in our market, and before I didn't feel like we were really capable of you know showcasing ourselves to them, and a few of them have called me after they get this report and just compliment us on how well done it is, and and they're looking forward to the next report, and, oh, hey, please send it to a few of my friends, and that type of thing. And so we also will print out a couple hundred extra of these and take them to the ICSCs with us, take them to any of the conferences that we have here locally. And so they're very helpful from that standpoint.
Nice. Yeah, I liked your point about how other folks that you've been working with, that other clients have mentioned that the competition isn't sending them anything, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people get so caught up in when they come up with an idea, they think everyone else is already doing it. So I'm also not going to do it because they don't want to compete. Right. But that's not always the case, especially when it comes to social media with commercial real estate. Um, I think our industry is kind of slow to jump on that social media train, right? And drum up business that way. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that.
Yeah, I think that mail is kind of a forgotten tool,
Hmm.
but if you just send a postcard or a quick about me flyer, like good luck. But if you send something that truly uh, proves that you're an expert, adds value to your clients, and differentiates yourself from the competition, that's something that I found people will really engage with. And, that's what's added a lot of value to me. So, I think that everybody should really consider how they can achieve those three things, and I think that's really the key to being successful in this business.
Thank you. Well, our next question is all about what you think your market's going to do in the next 18 to 24 months. So you've already told us about your, um, I guess, driving factors of your market. So the land and the industrial. So where do you think that is going to take us maybe by 2026 or sorry, 2027?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, so much of what's going to happen in the market is driven by uh, you know, interest rate policy and tariff policies and different things like that are completely outside of our control. So, I don't know exactly where the market's going to be going. I do know that in our market, it's, probably the same as most other markets. It's supply and demand driven. And we're just substantially undersupplied in the home market. So there's probably going to be a lot of large residential transactions that'll continue to happen. And even if we see something catastrophic happen where the market takes a dip, we're always trying to focus on ways that we can add diversity to our portfolio and clients that are just waiting to chomp at the bit if it does take a dip, and you can change from a buyer's market or a seller's market to a buyer's market.
I want to change gears here for a second. We've learned so much about you and your market in the commercial real estate world, but I want to talk about like you're kind of an adrenaline junkie, right? You love to go out there and adventure. And one of the things that you did about 2 years ago now, right? Um, you got into mountain climbing, and I want you to tell everyone because I know I'm going to butcher this, um, of what you did in Yosemite and the documentary that you made about it.
Sure. Yeah, we been a goal of mine to climb El Capitan in Yosemite Valley, which is a real famous rock there, 3,000 foot rock. A lot of you guys probably saw Alex Honnold's ascent of that in the movie Free Solo, which won a whole bunch of awards, and he climbed it in about 5 hours with no ropes, and it was pretty insane. And so, that being a goal of mine, but also being just an average everyday Joe that's has to work a full time job. I wanted to kind of showcase what really climbing El Capitan would look like if you're not a seasoned pro and a lifelong climber. So we went up the most famous route, which is the nose. We expected that it would take us about 3 days because we're not pros, but we're decently strong climbers, and we ended up taking us closer to 6 days. So 5 nights on the wall, 6 days, and it was absolutely brutal. We ran out of food and almost ran out of water, but we worked our way through it and topped out after 6 days and made a little documentary about it. One thing I'm proud about with the documentary is we just had a whole bunch of really kind of crappy footage. I didn't think there was going to be any way we would make anything cool out of it, but I hired a buddy of mine that's a great video editor and documentor, and he took all of our crappy footage and actually turned it into a really cool video that ended up winning a number of awards.
Yeah. And how long had you been like mountain climbing before you decided to do that?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. All right. Um, I highly recommend the documentary. I watched it this morning while I drank my coffee, and I was telling Brandon earlier that I felt everything that he was talking about. Like, I was like, oh, I kind of felt his anxiety about this one moment, and then his excitement and his determination, and then, almost on the edge of a breakdown, and then that sense of accomplishment, right? After you summited and then repelled back down, and what all these emotions in about 31 minutes, right? It was pretty incredible. So everyone, please go check that out. It's called um, "Wanna Climb the Nose."
Ding, ding, ding. I
Did
want to
I get it?
climb.
Okay.
Yeah.
"Wanna Climb the Nose," and I just
Yeah.
Googled it, and it came up. It was pretty incredible. Also, when you're interviewing in that, you just kinda have this constant smile on your face. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but you're just excited to tell everyone your story, and since this podcast is about stories, we're gonna it's kind of a good fit. So I wanted to kinda throw you another question, um, about rock climbing and particularly that moment when you were facing, like, "Am I gonna keep going? It's really hard. We're running out of food. We're running out of water. We were supposed to be here 4 days, and now we're here for 6." Um, can you equate that to commercial real estate when you have those moments and you have to give yourself, like, a pep talk when either, like, a deal keeps falling through because it's in and out of escrow, or you just wanna give up because it's getting too hard?
Yeah. I mean, one of the deals that I told you about earlier that I've been working on for 15 years.
Yeah.
There was one point, I think it was 10 years ago, a number of the guys in my office were joking with me, telling me I was an idiot for even working on it. I told them, "Hey, you guys, you'll see. This will pay off. This will pay off big dividends, and I'm gonna just keep persevering and keep working on it, and keep going to the meetings, and keep pushing it through the city, and then like I said, fell out of in and out of escrow several different times, and you just want to lose hope, but continue working on it. Now it's sold 3 times for me in the last couple of years. After all that, and it's certainly been one that is very similar to climbing that rock, where every time you feel like you know you're done, you're beaten, and there's no way this thing's gonna pay off. You just gotta find that last bit of grit and determination, and pull through, I think that's very similar from rock climbing to commercial real estate in a lot of ways. That's why this is a business that, if you're just starting out, I tell people all the time, and I've trained, and brought into the business now probably, you know, at least 20 brokers that are full-time brokers now. And one of the things I tell all of them is you're not going to make it in this business if you don't have a lot of patience, determination, and grit. So many people get into this industry and they spend a couple years just working their absolute tails off, and then they leave. And, all of a sudden the leads and the calls that they had worked so hard on for those couple of years are just going back to me now. And it's a total waste for them. So, this business is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. And so is rock climbing.
Right. Except for those guys that do it in one day, that you mentioned it in his documentary that they just get up in the morning like, "Hey, I wanna climb the nose
Well, they're a
of the
different
mountain
breed,
today."
but I guarantee you every one of them also spent about 5 to 6 days on the wall suffering just like I did. So
Oh, yeah. Nice.
we've
Nice.
all had to start somewhere. And even when you get to that point, even the Alex Honnold's of the world, his first ascent of El Capitan took him 6 days. So, it's you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And going back to the determination, and sometimes when someone tells you that you shouldn't do it or that it's too hard, that's that driving factor that makes you wanna keep going. You're like, "No, I wanna prove it to
Sure.
you." Yeah. Um, is there anything else that you would like to share with the network, with our listeners, as far as advice from coming from one of the youngest owners, actually the youngest owner on record at the time? Anything that you wish you had known? at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things. I wonder if you can actually. I'm gonna throw this one back at you. What were the three things that I said at least twice, maybe three times,
Dang
were
it. 'Cause I didn't take notes. I usually
one of the
always
keys to
take notes.
being successful in the industry?
Okay. Um, Value, always have to have something of value for your clients,
Yep,
right? So for
absolutely.
your example, it was that beautiful marketing piece and those folks that, I get to see Brandon, I'm looking at him right now, but he held it up and flipped through it and it looked fantastic. You had to have your specialty, right? Don't be a generalist. I know it's kind of difficult in some markets, but to really hone in on what your specialty is,
Yep.
that definitely helps. And then the first one, because those are the second two.
No, you got the first two.
Oh, the
You're
first two.
you're you're waiting on the last one now.
Nice.
Like, good job, by the way. I'm impressed.
Thank you. And I'm sure our listeners can hear this. My dog is barking, so he's been distracting me this entire
That's
time.
because
He's
he
been
knows the
so
answer to the
good.
third one. He's trying to tell you.
Is he? Hugo,
Yeah,
what is it? Tell me, sweet boy. He's like, it's feed me. That's what it is. Um, well, you also said determination and grit. Can we count those? What is it?
sure. The third one was differentiate yourself.
Ah, thank you.
Be
See?
an
All right.
expert, bring value, differentiate yourself.
Perfect. So you did my recap for me. So I turned it back on you. Thank you for that. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for spending the last Hugo 20 minutes with us. And Hugo is very, very outspoken and very thrilled that you shared stories with him
Well,
too.
yeah, it's excited.
Yeah, he's very excited. He's like, "Mommy, I want to go climb things now outside."
Yeah, and
Um,
take me outside. I gotta pee.
right? Yeah, and that's something fun that you'll learn in the documentary too. For those people who are wondering the same thing I was
How
about
to
how
go
do you go to the
how to go to
bathroom,
the bathroom when you're hanging off a cliff. Yeah, I tell you
right?
all about it.
Yes, and it's intriguing. Uh, well, thank you so much. I want everyone to make sure that you listen, like, and share this podcast if you've been really enjoying it. And reach out to Brandon if you ever have any questions. He can be found on cbcworldwide.com. And we're looking forward to the next time that you join us to hear about all the different stories that everyone in our network has to tell from their commercial real estate experience and beyond.
Thanks so much.